I guess it should be obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. I do entertain my own dark thoughts, right? I have dark thoughts about exacting revenge on people, exacting violence on people, hoping that people meet a cruel fate. I have fantasized about bringing my dead brother back in exchange for someone who I feel is far more deserving of death. These kinds of things. Angry thoughts, definitely rageful thoughts. I have certainly experienced suicidal ideation. I've certainly wanted to do shitty things to myself, and I have done shitty things to myself, and I have wanted to do shitty things to myself, and I probably always will. There is a drive, there is a part of me that is about that. And you know, I try to have a healthy relationship with those thoughts. I do not want to repress them. I don't want to push them away, but I want them to exist in a healthy space in my psyche where I acknowledge that they are there, but I don't sit with them and curl up with them and let them consume me. And I think that's basically the best that you can do if you are built in the way that I am built. You know, if you tick the way that I tick, and if you've been through the things mental health wise and otherwise that someone like me has gone through, that's the best you can hope for. I think repression of those difficult dark thoughts is not necessarily for the good. That's my personal take. A lot of witches in particular have a very big worry about how much they should entertain thoughts like this, especially thoughts relating to harming others or wanting others to do badly, or, you know, hatred towards others, that kind of thing, because they worry that their will is going to be directed towards that. It's going to go down that path and something shitty is going to happen to someone. And I've definitely been asked by witches, like, how do I control my anxious thoughts? How do I control my thoughts about something bad happening? I worry about plane crashes. I worry about this kind of thing. I worry about violence happening. I worry about people I love dying. How do I stop that? Because I don't want it to happen. How do I stop it? Because I do not want to put my will and my energy and intention towards it. And I want to speak on that because for me personally, I have a very strong point of view. Okay, I consider myself to be a witch with power. Okay, I mean, if you're a witch and you consider yourself to have no power and you've been practicing as long as I have, I think there's a problem. So I acknowledge my power, but I think my power is contained within parameters that I choose, and I don't think I could consider myself to be a very powerful practitioner if I didn't think that was the case. You know, when I want to manifest something, I decide that I want to manifest that thing, and I go through the various different stages that I would hope would lead something to manifestation. You know, I perform a spell, I do my spiritual hygiene, I set up my sacred space, I perform my working, and I put all of my will and intention towards that thing, whatever it might be. I do not believe that just by itself, my very vivid imagination could just leak out into somebody else's reality and manifest itself. If I thought that, I would be too shit scared to think things, and I don't want to be shit scared of thinking things. My point of view is that you have to choose where your will is going to go. It has to be something that is consciously done. I believe that I can let my imagination just completely run away with me and go in any number of directions, and all I'm doing there is painting an interesting oil picture in my head, right? It's very graphic sometimes, it's very emotive sometimes, but it's not a direction of will. I can't just randomly direct will, you know. It has to be something that is put together and decided upon and executed. So to me, there is a massive difference between using my imagination, my pure desire, my raw emotion to do a working, and then just sort of letting it run on a tab that's open in the computer in my head. One thing and the other thing are not the same thing. They don't conflate. If you are a person who does believe that they have conjured things into reality through thinking graphic, difficult, violent thoughts, I am not saying that you're lying about that at all. Okay, that could well be the situation for you. If that's the situation for you, I'm not gonna come at you for that. I'm not gonna argue with you. I will say 3 things to you though that might be helpful, and 3 things that I often think about and I've talked about with clients that have this kind of worry. The first thing is, are you predicting something using intuition rather than actually causing it? Lots of people with a very, very acute intuition will worry about something that actually is in the post. And that can be, we can see that as precognition, right? Rather than you willing something and it happening. If you thought about something and you were like, oh my God, you know, I worry about that happening, and then it happened, how do you know that's not just having an incredibly acute intuition? And I would ask you to, you know, think, about whether or not you are torturing yourself with this notion that you made something terrible happen to someone when actually you just intuited that it was coming. And that's precognition, baby. That happens, especially in the craft. So I want to say that first. I want to posit that to you as maybe something that could somewhat calm you down. The next thing I want to say is, if you're able to predict something, if you're able to manifest something, using your idle imagination, right? You've just got a strong imaginative faculty and you're directing it down a yucky path, right? If you're able to manifest something doing that, make it count by imagining great things as much, if not more. Okay, if you don't have to be doing a spell to make something happen, if you literally can just make something happen with your raw, pure imagination, and you have done that and then you regretted it or it scared you, maybe think about directing your imagination down a positive route as much, if not more of the time. I know it takes discipline. I know it takes training yourself to do that, but maybe try it, you know? And the third thing I want to say is, how many bad things have you imagined that have not happened? That really matters. I speak to some people who are worried about imagining bad things because they don't want them to actually happen. But I also speak to people who say, well, I imagined something bad and it did happen and now I'm blaming myself. And then I always ask, how many bad things have you imagined in your life that haven't happened? Because if you imagined one bad thing and it happened, I bet you're the type of person to imagine bad things, either because you have anxiety around a certain type of thing or because your imagination is very graphic, and like me, you are attracted to the darker side of things, right? So if you sort of think about shitty things all the time and a very, very, very small percentage of them happen, I think that matters. I think it's important that you don't tell yourself that you are this destructive creature that thinks difficult, horrible, yucky, violent things and then they take place. You know, maybe you are, like me, someone who has more of a propensity towards that side of things. And look, a stop clock tells the right time twice a day. I mean, shit happens. That's what this whole video is about.